Hello and welcome to ThePapare.com. This is the breakdown segment where we're analyzing everything that went on in this penultimate week of the Dialog Rugby A Division League. Sabir and I are going to be looking at what was the clash of the tournament so far. We'll look at that in a bit. But first, Sabir, Air Force taking on CH&FC, and Air Force running up a fairly big score there.
It is indeed only 26 points to trail in the first half, Shanaga, but it was a great performance in the second half. They are showing like they're improving week in, week out. And let's have a look at the try scorers first up in that match. Sandurvan Adhikari 2 tries, Saraka Virala 2 tries, Kaushal Manupri 2 tries, Papsar Hevagi 2 tries, Dinesh Weerarathne try, Gayantha Damalgoda, the captain with 4 conversion. And for CH, Dimal Jaisinga with 2 tries, Ryan Fernando with a try, and Vishwadinith with 1 conversion. Saraka Virala, probably you were mentioning about him, he is one of the upcoming players, but how good he is playing in this game.
He's a good number 8, Sabir, and I really like the way that he marshals those forwards as well. He knows what to do at the back of that scrum, and his scrum is always going forward. So if you're going forward for a number 8, it's really easy. The test is when you're going back, so that's something you'll have to improve on.
Indeed, and also we'll look at the other game we had in the weekend, Army versus Police. That's a surprise turnover because Army were playing so well against CR&FC and also against Navy Sports Club. But this game, Police taking that revenge, Shanaka. That was at Diyagama. Full-time score 27 points to 21.
Yeah, it surprised me really because Army had the momentum. They were on an upward trend going into this game, and I'm surprised as to why they lost that momentum, because once you start winning, you get used to winning. And Police racking up a huge first half score, 20 points to 7. That's how it finished in the first half. So it shows that Army were probably taking this game a little easy, thinking that they could win at their home grounds as well. They haven't played at Diyagama too often this season. But it looks like they've took their foot off the gas and paid for it.
Indeed, and also Charles Praveen, the big lock forward who also can play as prop. He was absolutely brilliant. Look at this hit on Asoka Jayalal, and this is the sort of hit. Look at that hit, and after that Asoka Jayalal even missed a knock on. Easy ball, and he is out of focus. That's the sort of pressure you have to put. But Praveen also scored 1 try, which is brilliant to see. But Asoka Jayalal, the veteran, also scored a try later in the second half. Although they came back, but it was too little, too late at the end, isn't it, Shanaka?
Yeah, too little, too late there, Sabir, and that's what you need to sometimes just stamp your authority on the game early. And if you take out one of their big leaders, one of their big ball carriers, if you take him out early and put the fear of God into them, then that's where Police. So that hit probably more valuable even than the try that Praveen Charles scored, so which is why you need players to step up and make those hits, make those turnovers when they count, and that one really counted for Police.
Police, indeed. Udara Gayan also making an impact after missing a few weeks for Police Sports Club, and also scrum half Janit played really well. He marshaled his troops well, but man of the match performance, Rajat Sansoni, again he's controlling that game. He's put that up and unders timing into perfection, which put Gayan Salin under immense pressure, and as a result, Police winning that game. Let's have a look at the try scorers quickly in this game. Praveen 1 try, and Dhanisha Dissanayake 1 try. Pim Jayasinghe, good to see him back on the field, a try, and Rajat Sansoni 3 conversion and 2 penalties. And for Army, Asoka Jayalal with a try, Manoj Silva, Aravinda Karunaratne with a try each, and Gayan Salinde with 3 conversion. As I mentioned, Rajat Sansoni was the ThePapare player of the game. And moving on to the next game, Shanaka, CR&FC versus Navy Sports Club, and what a comeback by Navy Sports Club, 37 points to 34.
Yeah, it was a stunning game, wasn't it? They were trailing by 19 points to 8 at one stage, and we thought CR were playing well and they would sew this one up. But boy, did they come back strongly at the end of that first half, 21-19 to Navy it was at that half. So they scored, 13 unanswered points at that stage, and that's where they really came back and won the game. CR scored a couple more tries, but Navy were just in the ascendancy, and despite losing Lahira Viswajit to that red card, and I think it's a red card, there's no question about it. And also their big man Nivanka Prasad at the back of the scrum, he was so good for that whole game, went out early on in the second half, but that didn't faze them. I thought Navy really deserved to win that game.
Indeed, it was a brilliant performance. 14-man Lahira Viswajit, maybe he was out in the 55th minute or so, but since then Army probably they got the motivation to win this game somehow, especially comparing the last game against Army Sports Club where they lost, in fact Navy Sports Club where they lost to Army. And talking about this game, what is interesting is about the decision making, Shanaka. CR had so many penalties. Also in the 53rd minute, there's another penalty just like 20 meters probably under the post, but that sort of a decision you need to take them, right? The win should not be counted from the tries. You can win the game from even from a penalty.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they needed to take their penalties early on in the game. But in terms of discipline, Sabir, I think CR lost this by conceding way too many breakdown penalties. I think they conceded 5 breakdown penalties, and for Thirina Veerasinghe, that's bread and butter. There was another penalty coming when Chanaka Chandimal put his drop goal over as well. So if you look at the points coming off the boot of those two kickers, there's 2 conversions and 5 penalties for Thirina Veerasinghe. That's 19 points from him, and 22 points when you add Chanaka Chandimal's drop goal as well. So all errors punished by Navy, and CR just made too many errors. Doesn't matter how many tries you score if you're making the equal amount of errors at the other end.
And also, it's a simple example. What Greg Laidlaw, the Scotland captain, did was, because they were playing against Ireland, and in the 76th minute they got a penalty, and he thought to put that into touch. And then kill some time, and then he knew that from the pressure Ireland going to concede another penalty. Then you get the time on the 79th minute, then you hit the 3 points, time over. That's smart play.
Yeah, that's very smart play. I thought Laidlaw managed the last 10 minutes of that game really well, whereas CR didn't manage the last 40 minutes of their game at all well, probably the last 50 minutes of their game at all well. They started out brilliantly, scored a super try through Anurag Herat, scored another really good try through Shamal Veerasekara, and they looked so good with the ball in hand, but unfortunately the breakdown just let them down.
How good is Supundil Shanshanaga? He's been brilliant for Science College. He come in the A division.
He was outstanding. He was outstanding on the day. For me, it was not too difficult a choice to pick him as man of the match, because I thought he made some really telling breaks. He made some important tackles as well, and he's really coming a long way. Maybe not big enough for national rugby, but that may not stop him.
Indeed, we'll wait and see with that Supundil Shah's action. And moving on to the last game, it was the decider, and Kandy Sports Club, they crowned the champions. They defended their title, and it was only close game in the first half, Shanaga. It's just 8 points to 6. What went wrong for Havelocks in the second half?
Well, I don't know, Sabir. I'm not sure exactly what went wrong for Havelocks, because it can't be the conditioning. They're a very fit team as well. I think perhaps their forwards were a little bit tired, because Kandy were moving the ball around quite a bit, and there was quite a bit of kicking. So running from one end to the other end, that might have tired the Havelocks forwards out. So that might be something that affected them, but you have to be fit enough to play teams like this. But I think the rubber the green also went Kandy's way. There was few lucky bounces, the one that bounced straight into Richard Dhamapala's hands. It was great awareness from Roshan Weerarathne to kick that across the field, know that Richie was herring up that touchline. But you have to have a few of those things. If Kevin Dixon hadn't slipped, maybe that try wouldn't have scored. So you have to have a few things going your way, and that's what happened to Kandy. They were destined to win that game.
And also Havelocks didn't manage their kicking out to position. It didn't really go well, and we saw some miscommunication also in the team. But talking about this chase from little Kevin Dixon and Nishon Pereira, 2 youngsters who just came out of the schools. Look at this chase and hit on Fazil Marija. They didn't give up the veteran that chase.
No, they didn't, and I thought that was really good to see. And unfortunately, Kevin Dixon is not as dangerous in the contact as Nishon Pereira is, and I thought Nishon Pereira didn't get the ball often enough in an attacking position, but he was brilliant defensively. I thought he was Havelock's best player by a mile, and it was really good to see. But again, the desire was there from the old men for Kandy Sabir. We saw Roshan Weerarathne, Gayan Weerarathne, Fazil Marija himself. You saw all those guys really stepping up.
Surya Bandara for the last try.
Absolutely, and you bring him on. What luxury does Sean have bringing Surya on for one of the last plays, and he scores one of those tries that we've got so used to seeing him scoring. So it was a really good performance from Kandy. I think Havelocks had a bit of bad luck, but I don't think you can blame the result on that.
And yeah, talking about Nishon Pereira, look at this try. He just beat 4 defenders, just saying get out of my way, and showing lots of power in him, the former St. Peter's player and Havelock centre. And talking about Dulaj Pereira's injury, later Mithun Hapugoda also was injured earlier before he goes. He made a lovely break, and he just made that chip kick where Hiranta Pereira was just a bit too late. Maybe the ball beat him on that to the red line area.
Yeah, it was a shame that those guys got injured, because I think Dulaj would have made a difference, especially if he moved to fly half later in the game, because I thought Niroshan Fernando didn't have his best game. He's a very solid player, but I thought the way he managed the game was not as good. His kicks were not accurate enough, and Dulaj is really high on confidence. So if Dulaj was on that field a little bit more, he might have lifted the entire confidence of that Havelocks team. So him going early on in the game was quite a big loss.
Indeed, and let's have a look at that yellow card incident. I don't think ThePapare did touch on that occasion, but maybe referee got it wrong. Maybe he also played a part in this game, isn't it?
He did, and I think this was a big call at that point. And ThePapare, you could see him shaking his head. He did stick his hand out, and it's not clear whether he touched his hand or not. I don't think it did. I think it came off the elbow of the Kandy player that came afterwards. But from where the referee stood, I don't think you can blame him for that. But perhaps he should have consulted the TMO a little bit more often in that game.
And also Roshan Weerarathne making that high tackle on Rahul De Silva. Straight away he knew he's going to get a yellow card. He just was silent, saying, okay sir, I'm going to sin win, and then he went back. But in this case, this hit just before the half time on Prasad Madhusankar. Maybe he's lucky to escape from another card.
Yeah, I thought that was something that the linesman had pointed out just a couple of plays before. He had said, look, there was a high tackle or a late charge on Richie Dharmapala, and then he doesn't call this one. So what you want is not them ignoring things or calling everything. You want consistency. That's what the players want. So I don't think the hit on Richie was nearly as bad as the one on Prasad Madhushankar, but it got called and that one didn't. So that's life.
And also Kandy really did well. Good to see Dhanushka Ranjan also coming and scoring at Havelock Park. And also Vishwamitra Jaisingh, I think he had a brilliant game despite this try. He should have scored this try, Shanaga.
Well, I don't know whether he had a brilliant game, Sabir. He's great going forward. He's not that good going backwards. So he botched a few, and I don't know how the referee missed the knock on when he was going back and it went over his shoulder. But he didn't have a fantastic game, but he's a guy that can change a game from anywhere. And he's got just so much pace, and you can't keep him on the bench if you want to win these games. So I think they were planning to kick and chase, and that's what Dharmapala and Vishwamitra Jaisingh were put there to do. But Vishwa knows he should have scored that one.
So do you think that repeat of the Clifford Cup knockouts repeat, will it be the same?
Well, the only other team that is in the equation, I would think, is Navy, Sabir. So Navy Havelocks coming up is going to be an important one to see how the knockouts are going to go as well. So we'll wait and see how that turns out, because that is going to decide who the finalists are going to be along with Kandy. I don't see Kandy stopping any time before the finals.
So that's all we have for the breakdown segment, and congratulations to once again the defending champions Kandy Sports Club, Sean Vijay Singh and his team. Brilliant stuff by the Hill Capital team. And moving on to the fixtures, Shanaga, this weekend. Well, Kandy, it's not sure whether they will come to Colombo and CH will travel to Kandy. It's not decided as yet. And also Navy Havelocks, like you said, it's going to be a deciding encounter for the second and third spot.
Well, yeah, I think Navy have a very outside chance of coming into second place. I don't think Havelocks are going to allow them to score the amount of points they need to do that. But Havies need to make sure that they don't leave too much on the park from last week. They need to make sure that they're emotionally turned on for this game and that they want to win this one as well. They can't afford not to win this game, because that will be a sign of weakness for them, and I think they will definitely want to win this next one. Navy will know that they're hurting from a loss, and they will, after coming back strongly against CR, they'll fancy their chances. It should be a really good game.
Should be a really good game. Also, Air Force taking on Air Force taking on Army Sports Club. That's at Diyagama Stadium, and that will be an interesting game as well.
Yeah, it should be a really good one, because Air Force have now got some points on the board. Watch out for them. It should be a very interesting match.
So that's all we have for the breakdown segment, and we'll see you next week with the final week action of the Dialog Rugby League.